Greg, nice to see you again. Going to get everybody caught up here. Today's a actual demonstration, a working lesson, we'll call it. This morning we were working with Greg, and we made a interesting discovery with his sales process. We found a good place to focus on, and some of the symptoms that we experienced with Greg is conversion in sales, unpredictable sales, really kind of riding the roller coaster. He has a good source of his base work, but when it comes to doing service, he's not getting the consistency that he wanted. So in our discussion this morning, we found something that I think I see quite frequently, and I've had experience in my own business. And what it is basically multiple CRMs and nothing working properly. Okay, so we're going to run a challenge today. I'm going to prove to everybody here that I can make Greg $100,000 without adding ads or looking for new leads or anything. Just with his current pipeline, we're going to convert it into 100 grand in new business. Who thinks that I can do this? Greg, you think I can do this?
Yeah, it's very possible.
Okay. So this will be the fun part, right? I'm not just talking here. We're going to actually do this live on the call. We're going to set the whole process up. And then we're going to let the numbers tell the truth. Does that sound like fun? Okay. So first of all, let's understand the core of this problem. All right. So I'm going to share my screen, and I want to just explain what the issue is and where we had this breakdown. So everyone kind of understands, for the most part, that we've got to get new leads, right? But I think where the first part of understanding how leads and understanding where your problems exist in your sales process is being able to measure between what a lead is, right? And then what goes to the next stage. What is the next stage after you get a lead? All right. So we call this in my language, I'm going to say this is a marketing qualified lead. Okay. So my first step is to qualify the lead. All right. And there's two places it's going to get qualified. So we have a marketing qualified lead that could be from a website, from, a PPC campaign. All right. And that's basically somebody showing interest in your business, hasn't decided to use you or not. That's a marketing qualified lead. Okay. Our job now is to sales qualify them. All right. Is this person appropriate for our business to actually sell our product or service? Is it the right fit? Biggest dilemma here, where I see a lot of guys already start to make mistakes, is that they don't properly qualify. All right. So a qualified lead versus just running around and throwing out proposals, or taking any type of lead that you come across, starts to present some huge problems. First of all, here's no delineation between, is this a sales qualified lead, or is this just somebody that's, fishing for prices, right? We have to be able to very clearly and accurately detect that. Okay. Especially if you're running a service-based business. All right. I can't express that to you enough. If you don't know your client, you don't know your customer very well and how they convert, you're going to run yourself all over the place. You're going to run your crews, your trucks, your equipment. You might be giving out free quotes, your time. So you have to really, really understand that just because somebody's expressed some interest does not mean that you're to run out and give them a quote. All right. That's a big mistake. And in your CRM, we need to also be able to use a pipeline to understand that. Where is the customer exactly in terms of conversion? All right. So now that we've got a sales qualified lead, all right, we're going to actually make it a sale. So Greg, give me an electrical scenario. They've called in, they've asked for a quote. You guys do qualify them. You make sure that it's the right fit. All right. At what point does the sale get made? At what point is there an exchange of funds?
Exchange of funds depends on the client, whether we'll ask for a deposit up front, or
Okay.
if we'll have a client that we've worked with before or that we're confident in, we'll have them pay at the very end of the project.
Okay. So when we're looking at the sale itself, all right, many people want to skip 2 steps in between, all right, and move themselves to the sale. Okay. Here's what ends up happening. We forget that people are not necessarily ready to make a decision yet, All right. A marketing qualified lead might need nurturing. It might need more time before you can actually turn it into a qualified lead, a sales qualified lead. And what we're looking at here is the volume, the conversion rate, right, and the time it takes. Okay. So these are indicators of another system that operates above this. So our marketing system, for example, all right, if our marketing system is efficient, all right, we should be bringing in people that are generally going to qualify, all right, in the best case scenario, right? But we need to keep them in the pipeline. We need to know where they are and how quickly they convert through each stage. Okay. So I'll give you an example of how your CRM or the system that you're using will allow you to have insight into this. If we looked at the volume of leads that we brought in and compared them to the number of qualified leads that we have in, all right, we're going to have a good idea of what our marketing team is doing, how efficient they are working. If we're getting a whole bunch of marketing qualified leads, but they're not sales qualified leads, then we know that the messaging and the approach with those is basically bringing in clients that are lower or higher in the sales funnel. So they're not quite ready to make a sale yet. It doesn't mean we just let them go. All right. In fact, this is where your gold can be made. And in Greg's situation, I guarantee you, he has a lot of people that are marketing qualified or even sales qualified that have been just sitting in this zone, all right, before they've been converted into a sale. So that's what we're focusing on today, is how to move people through these pipelines efficiently and at a predictable rate. Okay. So I want to bring it back to, if we knew exactly how many leads we needed to generate to hit our, XYZ, financial goal. All right. And we knew what the cost of that lead would be, the cost to acquire that lead. All right. It's very easy to predict or even forecast what your production and revenues and sales would be. Okay. But if you don't have a way of measuring between each stage, and you don't have a system that brings somebody through that stage, it's going to be very difficult to understand where your leads are. And what will end up happening is you will constantly be looking for new leads. You're going to be constantly going, I'm not getting enough leads. I'm not getting enough leads. And really what's happening is you're blowing them in these two first phases. Okay. So let's talk about how we move them to a conversion. So one of the things that I'm going to say is a startling number, but 55% of contractors do not follow up whatsoever with their leads. That is equivalent, all right, to bringing somebody into your pipeline and just throwing them away. You may as well burn the lead. Okay. And then what they say is, oh, I lost that job because of price. I lost it because of this. I lost it because of this. And they ride this huge roller coaster ride, all right, where they don't have any predictability in their pipelines. And really what it is that they have not properly moved them through these cycles, and they have not actually followed up with them consistently enough. And you'll notice I'll say consistently enough. It's not just once, it's not twice. We're going to go through that in a second, but it's consistently and predictably over time. Once you have this in your CRM, which we're going to set up today, it's going to start to produce predictable sales. So let's imagine for a second that the volume of leads is high enough. Okay. Let's say that Greg needs 100 leads per month. He's going to convert them at 40%. Okay. What needs to happen, all right, is that we need to have a predictable timeline for that. So if we take in 100 leads right now, how long does it take to move through these cycles to a sale where we're now producing them, right? That within your CRM, you're going to be able to predict. You're going to be able to see, you can track, you have that data point there. Okay. As well as conversion rates. Very, very important that we're paying attention. If a conversion rate, all right, is not accurately moving through. So for example, let's say we brought in a whole bunch of marketing qualified leads, okay, but they're not converting. So all of our volume is sitting in this section. What is that an indicator of? Is that bad marketing, or is that bad sales and sales process? What do you think? What do you think? I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be a little bit of both. All right. But more appropriately, it's probably a sales problem. Okay. So if you have high volume of leads, okay, within that, you're going to have, a good chunk of them that should convert very quickly and easily for you, predictably. Now, with a service-based business, I'm going to say that the rate of conversion should be around 40%. I mean, you can, basically just put a quote out there and you're going to be able to convert it. Now, how do we increase that sales conversion? Because we want to move it to the sale. How do we do that? We have to follow up. We have to ensure that we're communicating with the client and giving ourselves the best opportunity for them to see us as the prize. Okay. So we're going to do that two ways. Number one is obviously our follow-up. We can, or a couple of different ways, sorry. We're going to, we can text, we can, use social media, we can tag and post. All right. We can, give a leadership-based follow-up. So we can call, we can email, we can send smoke signals if we'd like, right? We can drive to their house and knock on their door if we need to. There's lots of ways that we can do this. Now, how your company does it is really about the customer that you're attracting. Okay. So Greg does a B2B, a lot of B2B type work. They need follow-up just as much as, and it's an illusion, as a homeowner, right? But he also does B2C. Okay. Both parties need follow-up. It's not exactly the same, but it's going to follow a complete system. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what that system may look like. Okay. And then we'll get into the actual doing of this one. Hold on a second. Let me pull up my, here we go. Okay. So we're going to look at, first of all, we just covered, how we're going to rate a customer. And again, we can get deeper into this. I'm not going to do that for today because we've got a lot on our plate today to go through, but we're going to talk about engaging sequence. Okay. When should you, how should you, what is the sequence or what is the appropriate amount of follow-up to not be spammy or be annoying, but to get the prospect and be top of their mind. All right. If we've done a really good sales process, we've given a really good quote. If we just stop there, we are throwing away 30 to 45% of our sales. We're just letting them go to the next guy that just shows up and asks for the business. No word of a lie. Okay. Because most people, if they get 3, 4, 5, 6 quotes, what do you think? And they all look the same. All right. No one really differentiates. No one follows up. Right. They're going to pick the last guy with the cheaper price. Right. So let's think of it the same way. When's the appropriate amount of time? And this is going to be different for every business. Now, this is why we want to systemize, because we can look at the data. We can use the numbers to tell us, do we get more conversions if we follow up, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, so what we want to do is start with a base. Now, this is just a general base. We want to follow up, day after. We're going to send our proposal, invite them to another chat after we sent the proposal. We're going to follow up a day 3, day 7, day 14, day 21, 28, and day 38. Okay, so that's what we're going to put in sequence today. Okay, now, Greg has a large volume. And Greg, you can help me out with this a little bit. Where would you say the volume of your clients are sitting right now, or your prospects?
I'm saying there's probably a good chunk in the MQL that are untapped.
Okay.
And the ones that in the SQL area, we're moving those ones forward. Okay.
So in this one area, and I've got kind of an unfair advantage in this discussion, but in this one area, I know that we're going to unlock 100K. That's my prediction. That's what we're betting on here, is that he has more than 100K of clients that if we just reach back to them appropriately, and, again, even going back months, we're going to get some activity from them. We're going to get some interest. We're going to, restart the conversation of if they want to get this project done or not. Okay. Now, what I'm about to show you is going to be so simple and stupid, all right, that it's going to blow your mind, all right? But who would imagine that these couple of words will probably net us about 100 grand in revenue? That's my prediction, right? It's a pretty bold one, but I'm going to show you it anyways. So when we're thinking of a leader-based follow-up, okay, let's imagine for a second, we haven't talked to this person for weeks, months. We don't really, we can't even remember what the conversations were. How do you actually follow up with that? What do you say? Right. And I think a lot of contractors get themselves into this situation. So there's a really good framework. It's one of the best follow-up sequences to this day. It's just tried, tested, true. It's called the 9-word email. Okay. And basically what it is, are you still looking for and their desired outcome? Okay. So I've gone ahead and done a couple of examples of this. All right. So are you still trying to figure out how to optimize your electrical system for maximum efficiency? Okay. Are you still looking to improve your business energy management, reduce costs? Okay. And you tell me which ones of these do you think would fit some of your clients? Okay. Because we're going to put those into buckets. We're going to tag them. All right. And we're going to start to build our follow-up based on this. Okay. What was their initial problem? What was the initial thing that they were trying to solve? Okay. They're in that sales group. Here's a whole volume of them. We don't know. I want to know if they, if they had it done or not done, but we need to find out. Okay. We can't just have open proposals sitting all over the place. That's a bottleneck. Okay. So let's go through these. Which one of these, like panel upgrades? How many panel upgrades do you think you've priced?
Oh, half a dozen, perhaps.
Perfect.
Something like that.
Okay. So here we're going to do this. We're going to do two things. We're going to send a text. Okay. And we're going to send an email. Here's the fun thing about text. All right. If I'm doing a proper follow-up, 20% of emails get responded to. Okay. Text as high as 98%. Email, 90 minutes. Okay. Before someone will respond. Text, about 90 seconds. So what do you think we should lead with?
Texting.
Perfect. Okay. So I've gone ahead and I've created your pipeline. All right. Now, Greg didn't have this organized, so this might be new to you, Greg. Apologize. But essentially, we're going to look at marketing qualified leads that come in. All right. Those are we'll call them our hot leads, warm leads. And basically, they're going to go through these phases. Okay. We're going to find out if they have a quote in process, right? Estimate, if the estimate's been set. And then we're going to follow up, right? Or we're going to nurture them. So let's say that somebody comes in that didn't qualify for being sales qualified, but they're still a customer. They're still somebody that has given us their contact information. They still know other people, and we'll get to that in a second. All right. We're gonna say, hey, thank you for reaching out to us. It's maybe not the right fit, right? Or maybe, again, when you decide what you are actually looking for, we, would love to, work with you. There's a whole host of reasons why we wouldn't qualify that person, but there's still a contact, and let's not lose the equity of that contact. So we're going to put them into a nurturing sequence. Okay. This is going to be some communication, and it's going to have a purpose. It's going to make an offer. All right. And we're going to warm them up to it. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. But first things first, we want to attack our warm and hot leads. Okay. So, and even our cold leads, we're going to put these into buckets. So your job today, we're going to take 10 to 15, 20, 30 projects that you have, and we're going to categorize them. We're going to tag them. Okay. What was the service that we offered? All right. And once we put them into here, what we're going to do is send out a text or an email that is appropriate for their request to start the conversation, to reignite the conversation. Okay. So how is this going to look? It's actually going to be pretty easy. All right. Here's what we're going to do. So I've already started to put them in. So what would you say the volume? Let's take a look at the document I just created for you. What would you say the volume of your follow-ups right now that you can think of would fall under? So are you still intending to pursue the new new electric work?
There could be two possibly something related to a wiring project, like we quoted a kitchen reno application. There could be one where we wanted to upgrade some lighting. That
so let's
could be
do this.
Possibly one.
If you know those contacts, are you like, can we put them in? Even if I make it private, we'll put them in and we'll actually follow up with them right now while we're on this call.
I'd have to dig through and identify what those weren't. Could take me a minute to put that together.
Okay, so we're just going to do one or two. All right, I'm going to build these templates. So we had a rewiring. Are you still considering a home rewiring project? Is that appropriate? Would that match any of the clients that you have?
That could apply to a lot of things. That could apply to a kitchen.
Again, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be
As
you know,
specific. Yeah.
yeah, it's touching the pain point or the desired outcome that they had, right?
Right. Right. Okay.
Are you still trying to find a reliable electrical service provider for your upcoming projects? Like I mean, that's how simple it can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that could address a lot of different people and just get the conversation started.
Right.
And then you could narrow it down to a more specific task of the
Mhm.
most common ones that you'd come across.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to make tags for all of these, right? In your CRM, which is Contractor AI, right? So are you still considering a home rewiring project? We'll add another one. So we're going to add a text template.
Okay. I have one here for a self-storage as an
Okay.
example.
Perfect. Perfect.
Um,
What was the outcome that they were looking to get?
it was a lighting retrofit.
Okay,
Now, okay,
perfect.
you want to do the home rewiring one? Okay, I got to go to something else. Just give me a minute.
Actually, I think I got this one already. Yeah, I do. Okay, and you can put it in the chat. I'll keep it confidential who we are, but we're literally going to send this right now. And let's see what responses we get. Now you can imagine your CRM is going to automatically do these things, right? It doesn't have to wait to be asked, right? It's going to pick up that conversation and automatically start sending out follow-ups and having conversations with your clients. Okay. Now we've even got it worked so that we have an AI that will book them in appointments. Again, these are so important. You're leaving so much on the table if you don't. Okay.
If I had these categorized, it would be easier.
It's okay. We're gonna get them all categorized. We've got a big challenge in front of us. So, I mean, once we have them all categorized, and we'll tag them in the CRM, this is going to be very easy, right?
Yeah. Like the one that I have here would be more of a commercial application.
Perfect. So just explain to me the outcome, and we're going to write a text to send to them.
Okay, so this is a lighting upgrade that we proposed back in July.
Perfect. Love it. Okay. So a
And
lighting
we gave them
upgrade.
two options to either go with a conversion or to go all new.
Okay.
And
So are you still looking to upgrade your lighting? What could we say? Not fixtures, but because that's what you're actually proposing here, right?
right, have they
So is
given
it
any
fixtures?
further consideration to moving ahead with any parts of our proposal?
Perfect. So we're going to use this one here. Okay. Let's put her to the test. It's funny how these work. Okay. Conversation. Okay. Grab. We've actually got your. Right. And we'll go. Okay, put that in the could you ever imagine just sending something out like this, Greg? Look at that. Are you still looking to upgrade your lighting fixtures?
Mm-hmm.
Can't get any simpler than that, can we?
No.
Okay. So I want to copy this whole thing because I'm going to make it a text as well. We'll start with our text. Okay. So do me a favor in the chat, put that contact information. Okay. And I'm going to put it in. I'm going to take the screen down for a second just so I don't share anything I shouldn't. And would you say this contact is probably cold, right?
I would say it's cold now. I think they had to digest it and see how it worked in their budget.
Okay.
But perhaps they're in a position now that maybe it makes sense to do it.
Okay, perfect. So we've let this one kind of go. But what's the contact's first name? Can you put it in the chat there? And the phone number.
Just let me see what I can find for that again.
No problem.
Okay, yeah. Just let me
Right.
do this here.
So we'll both appreciate the value of having all of this stuff entered in every day, the same consistent way, right? Because now we could have blasted all of those based on a tag, right?
Totally, yeah. And I gotta do it this way. Now this won't be a cell number, I'm just saying.
Okay, it's fine.
I'm just gonna do it different here. Let's do this here.
Okay.
Okay, this is the phone number to their main store, not to a cell number. So
Yeah, no problem.
just saying it's
As long as I've got the contact name too.
yeah, it's coming at you.
Got it. Okay. And if you could privately put in the value of that contract for me.
Okay. That's option. The first one is option A and this is option B.
Okay. I always put the lowest price in. The lowest. Just a small one then, eh? Okay. All right. We got it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's create that.
Having follow up to all these things that you put so much energy into needs
right.
Yeah.
Right. And just leaving them is almost a guarantee you're not going to, especially if they go past, like people don't make decisions immediately. Right. So if you miss that window, it doesn't mean that they don't want to get the service done. Right. It just means that maybe it wasn't the right time. Right.
That happens a lot, especially with the certain clients that we work for, we'll put the proposal together and they put it in the budget and it pops up a year later or 9 months. That's
Right.
not uncommon.
So,
But
and we're
staying
going
in
to talk,
touch with them that whole time would
right.
be
Well, and guys just
great.
don't, right? They give up
Yeah.
after the first, the first little bit for it, right? So,
Yeah.
okay. So, now imagine your system just does this automatically. So you never have to worry about did I follow up with that person? Did they get my quote even? You know how many times if you didn't have a proper follow-up, how many times they may have not received your quote? Like
That can
think about
happen
that.
too.
You did all that work and
Yeah.
you don't even know if they received it yet, right? So there has to be due course. And I'm going to explain to you why it's important that we create urgency and it's important that we remain on top of them and know where they are in our pipeline, right? We don't want anybody to appear as if they're not in the sales process at all, right? So let's send that out. Okay. Well, let's just see what they say. Now, because it's just email, it may take a little while, but we'll get the gist of this. Okay. There we go.
I think another good one will be also too for following up after the sale.
Oh yeah. So let's
That'll
get
be
into
the
that.
best.
Let's get into that. So I want to show you again what the relationship is while we wait to see if that contact replies to us or not. Okay. But we're going to take a look at the relationship there because there is 100% a connection, right? And most again, we want to think about this as the continuous process that we're going to run. All right. So let's say we followed up now and we've moved them into a sale. Okay. So they've made a commitment. Right. We're going to produce them. Right. There's going to be a production. Right. We're going to complete the job. And we're going to assume here that we have a happy customer. We always should. Okay. They're probably going to give us a review or a testimonial. Okay. This is all a part of your sales pipeline. All right. So requesting this and asking for this, okay, would be all a part of your CRM. All right. And then what next do we want to do? We want to ask them for a referral. Okay. But what I'm going to say is that asking somebody for a referral actually starts all the way back here. Okay. We're going to introduce the idea and we're going to get them to give us a micro agreement, a micro commitment, right? So again, we want to let them know that asking for referrals and reviews is a part of our sales process. Okay. So we get them to commit to this. Now your CRM is going to do the heavy lifting. Once they've come to this stage, the invoice has gone out. We're then going to ask for their review, testimonial, and a referral. Okay. And we're going to consistently follow up with each one of these stages. And this is where I think a lot of guys don't understand is each one has its own individual follow-up. Even in the sale, even in the production, there's touch points that you need to be taking with your client. Okay. There's an experience that they're going to have with you in each stage. Okay. And if you don't do one stage properly, all right, it's going to show up in the next stage. All right. So let me explain. If we didn't qualify our marketing lead, therefore, our sales, or we couldn't qualify our sales we didn't follow up with, well, it's not going to move to a sale, is it? Right. Okay. So again, we're looking at the volume and the conversion rate. We want to see what part of our sales process is actually letting us down. What part of our CRM is not producing the way we want to. And here's the fun part, guys. Look at, there's a multiplier effect, especially in a home service business or a home, or a service-based business. The funny part is you can rinse and repeat this. So the referral then takes it all the way back to the beginning. And now we're feeding the front of our funnel, because every client we convert then becomes a referral or a review. All right. That's giving us qualified leads. That's giving us, sales qualified lead. That's, allowing us to, self-generate leads. Okay. So me and Greg had this discussion about how some companies can pay for a lead off of a pay-per-click, paying $500, $600, $700 for a service that they're only going to be able to charge $200 or $300 for. How can they do that? How are they able to do that? It's because of this system, and it's the speed of which they can push people through this. Okay, because that's the part we're missing here. So let me give you an example, Greg. Had you pushed 15 or 20%, created some urgency, created, some awareness, and got them to convert, okay, think about how much further they would be through this pipeline, and you would already be receiving referrals back from them, right? And reviews and testimonials. And like, again, this is how companies grow. Like it's as simple as this. It really is. Okay. So if we look at our sales process as, basically two funnels, all right, leads funneling in from the top, and we're able to rinse and repeat this process, predictably moving clients through our sales pipeline, okay, turning them into, advocates first, and then, raving salespeople, little mini salespeople. Now I can buy a lead or acquire a customer at a much more expensive price. Okay. So Greg, if we knew that on average that we got 3 referrals from every customer that we did business with, all right, but in order to get one lead, we had to pay $200 or $300. Okay. Is that really spending $200 or $300 on one lead, or is that spending $200 or $300 on 3 leads?
It's a multiplier effect.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. If you're measuring these things, and which a good CRM will, all right, we can afford to spend $300, $400, $500 on a lead and acquire a high quality lead. Okay. And the rule of marketing is the person who can afford to spend the most amount to acquire a customer wins. That's all it. That's a full stop. If you can afford to spend more than anybody else to acquire a customer, okay, you win. The only way you can do that, all right, is first of all having a super efficient sales process. So your conversion's got to be higher than anybody else that's bidding for that, right? So let's take the general, we'll use it as the example right now. I would love to have you in my market, right? Why? Because I'm gonna break it down. Even if I'm more expensive, I'm probably gonna land more deals than you, just by the simple, efficient thing that I'm following up. I'm not letting the lead get away from me. I'm not letting them, forget about me, or, I'm not giving them the impression that this work isn't that important to me. Okay. So the other side of it is people don't make immediate decisions. Okay. It doesn't mean that the problem went away. It still exists. Right. And here's a good rule, a good saying for this: the greasy wheel gets the grease, right? It's your job to be the greasy wheel. You want to remind them of that pain that they still have to resolve. Okay. Now, when everybody else has gone away, let's say that they had a hard time making a decision, and I don't know, like a major $20,000, $30,000 decision might be not something you were prepared for. How many of your customers are really shocked by the price, Greg? Or like, oh, wow.
Yeah, it depends where you are. If you're the first guy in, or if you're where you are in the quotation process.
Perfect.
If you're the first one in, they could have sticker shock. Yeah, it's
perfect.
possible.
So again, would it make sense? So let's say they've had that same experience as 3 to 4 other people. The last guy gets there and gives, an average price about the middle of the pack, right? And nobody's followed up with them. Who's racing? They're going to pick that guy, right? Yeah. It's what happens all the time. You've done all the work to educate, to, do your proposals, but you forgot one of the most important things is that just because that you didn't get an immediate yes, right, doesn't mean it's a lost opportunity. In fact, more convert after that point. Like, again, a good portion of them, and it takes 4 or 5 or 6 touches. Until they say, hey, I've got the work done by somebody else, they are still an active lead, and it's your job to, in your sales job, to make sure you have nobody that hasn't converted, right? Either they're the sale is lost. It's, we're saying thank you, lost sale survey, asking for a referral anyways, because why not? All right, keeping in touch with them because they may have other work that comes up. All right, and these are all the messaging that we want to have that exists within our CRM. Okay, now these are not things that you're going to be manually doing on every single job, right? So again, let's keep this in mind. So Greg, let's talk about what we need to do next steps to get this process in place. Okay. I'm going to share the document that I have for you. Okay. And all I want you to do is put your clients into the database. The ones, most of them are already in there, by the way. We just need to tag them of what the issue was with them and the dollar amount. Do you think you could handle that?
Yeah, it's very workable. Yeah.
Okay. So what I want to do is we're gonna cap it at a number. By next week, we're gonna do 50 full follow-ups in, between now and when we talk next week. Okay. And let's see what our results are. 50, I'll even challenge you. Let's get 100 in there. Okay. And let's see what we land in just that amount of time. So in 1 week, we're going to do 100 full scale follow-ups. All right. Using the 9-word email, 9-word thing to get the conversation started again. And I don't care if you go back years, I could care less. Just get the contacts in. Let's get them to say no. Let's make that our objective. We want to just make sure that they haven't, stalled on the job and don't need, electrician desperately and forgot your name, forgot your number. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do we got a plan? We're on our way to making 100 grand.
Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect. Anything else that you'd like me to go through that wasn't quite clear?
Nope. That makes
Perfect.
very good
So
sense.
let's just go collect cash. That sounds like a whole lot of fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm going to jump off. We can jump back on, but I'm going to end our live here. Okay.
Sure.